The following program is seen statewide on California Public Television. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser. Get ready for an adventure. Right now we're right off Highway 14 in Kern County, and look at all of this behind me. I've been hearing about this place, reading about this place, seeing pictures of this place for years now, but this is my first opportunity to actually spend some time here, and it is overwhelming. And if you think this is beautiful, look over here. This is otherworldly. It's spectacular. It's magnificent. And Ron, you're the superintendent of this place. Where are we right now?
Yeah, we're at Red Cliffs Natural Preserve in Red Rock Canyon State Park. And this Red Rock Canyon State Park is 27,000 acres of beautiful cliffs that you see here in the background.
Well, now, when you say beautiful cliffs, that's the understatement. What are we looking at? Why is it this color? And I assume this is why Red Rock Canyon got its name.
That is correct, Huell. The area here has a transverse fault called the Garlock Fault that comes off the Sierra Nevadas and Tehachapi Mountains. And this area was covered with a lot of sand and sedimentary rock many, many years ago in the Miocene, the Pliocene era. Well, then later came a volcanic surge and laid over it. And then with this fault uplifted, and all these cliffs, besides this cliff, faced to the south. And as then wind and rain came along, it eroded and made these fabulous curtains as you go down and see these cliffs here in Red Rock Canyon.
Yeah, not only, oh, look over here, when you talk about curtains, this is just spectacular. Not only the color, which is the first thing that hits you, but the formations themselves. I've never seen anything like this in California, and I know that you wanted us here early this morning while the sun was hitting it just perfectly, because it really just pops out at you when you see it.
That's correct. And this area right here is along Highway 14. Many people come see it as they come through here. And it's the postcard of Red Rock Canyon State Park. Many commercials and films have been shot here because it's unique. It's always an ongoing story, and many more places to see throughout the park.
Yeah, I know. We've just barely even gotten into the park. This is what you can see just driving down Highway 14. This is a huge park. We're going to be spending the whole day here. We're starting off in front of what you call the postcard, and a beautiful postcard it is. Let's take a look at it right here, because this is where we're going to be spending the day, right here at this beautiful park, Red Rock Canyon State Park, which is definitely one of California's golden parks. Ron, we may never get into the park because the Red Cliffs Natural Preserve here is just overwhelming, and when you walk up to these formations, it really begins to show you how small we are and how big they are. This is absolutely breathtaking.
Very much
to look at this. I don't know whether the camera can see this or not, but we are standing, I feel like I'm in the Grand Canyon.
You know, it really humbles us, in this area. And that's why it became a state park in 1981, because of the huge significant value and aesthetic that we see here, and people are inspired by them.
Now, talk about something that puts you in your place. Standing here makes you feel very small. Give everybody a wave, Ron. Here we are, and look at this above us. It's magnificent. Okay, now we have come not over a half a mile from where we were earlier at Red Cliffs. I've hooked up with Jim. You're a docent here, a volunteer, right?
That's correct, yes.
And where are we now? Because this is spectacular right here.
This is Hagen Canyon, the opening to Hagen Canyon. And Rudolf Hagen was a German immigrant who came in here around 1900, and he bought up all the old mining claims, and he turned this into his own personal park.
Wait a minute. His own personal park.
He bought the mine claims, and then he was there for about 25 years, and his son also lived here with him, and he died while he was here, and that's why you see so many things named Ricardo, because his son's name was Ricardo. He also had a post office here. And during World War I, since he was a German immigrant, they took his post office rights away from him. So he just continued on with this as his park. He ran tours, he named everything. One of the most famous ones is that Turk's turban right there.
Turk's turban.
Because it looks like a head with a turban around it. And it fell off from up above and came down and just set itself right there in the ground. And it's been one of the, on almost all the famous postcards from this area, have a picture of Turk's turban on it.
Lots of postcards from this area, but boy, you can't take a bad picture here.
It's almost impossible, and also in black and white at certain times of the day, it's just incredible the kind of relief and contrast you get with black and white photography.
That looks like a wall up there on the top, going across the top, but that couldn't be a wall.
That's actual basalt. That's lava flows that flowed in here on top of some of this other stuff many million years ago. And you have the basalt that flowed in on top, and that's why it's black and a different color. And you can see how it has sloughed off down the hillside into the sandstones.
Boy, this is like a timeline here.
It
Just
is.
standing here looking at this, isn't it?
It's like a geology textbook.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of geology students come out here, don't they?
They come out usually every spring, and they have crews that come out, and they get licensed, and they go around and they do digs, and they find incredible fossils throughout the place. Now, years ago, fossils were actually sticking out of the face of these cliffs, but they've long been taken out, so now it's much harder to find the fossils. But they have found things like rhinoceros, elephants, camels, horses. Yes. 10 million years ago, there was a rhinoceros here in this area, and this wasn't a desert. It was a juniper pine forest, lots of rain. Had rivers flowing into basins, and there was lots of water.
Boy, you know your history. You must give a lot of tours.
I do this constantly.
I figured you did.
I've been doing it for 12 years.
We hooked up specifically because are we going to hike right out in here? Because this, one of the claims to fame of Red Rock Canyon, this is like a back lot on a movie studio.
Oh, yes, it is. About 120 movies have been shot in this area.
Now, see, when I'm hiking back here, I'm overwhelmed by the size, by the spectacular vastness of what we're doing. But right now, Jim has promised that he's going to show us a place up here that's very small, that most people would never see, and it's going to provide us quite an experience. I'm not sure where we're going, but Jim hadn't let us down yet. So here we go. And here we are. Here it is, right here. What are we looking at here, Jim?
We're looking at one of the typical rock windows. We have a lot of them through the park here, and they're created by wind mostly.
A rock window.
Now, there's a society here in the United States that goes around and records all the rock windows.
Can we go in there?
It's a big deal. Yes, you can.
Let's go take a look out the window. Boy, this is unexpected. Come on over here with me, Jim. Here we are. We're looking out the rock window. And boy, it's a beautiful view looking out here too.
You can really see all the beautiful terrain around here.
Yeah.
All the different types of volcanic material.
I've never looked out a rock window before. This is another first.
Okay. We have about 6 or 8 of them here in the park.
Well, I know you're jaded, but this is exciting for me.
One more right there.
Uh-huh.
So if you keep panning around, you'll see another rock window back there.
Another red rock, another famous movie story, another famous movie star story, Jim.
Right. And this rock behind me here, right in the middle, with the red cap on it, Ronald Reagan, back in his early days when he was a movie star, got shot in a Western film and was killed and fell off the top of that rock. And he was chasing his brother, who was a cattle rustler, but he didn't know it was his brother. So when he looked down and saw the guy, he hesitated when he saw it was his brother, and his brother shot him.
Oh my
he
gosh.
fell off.
Fell off that rock.
Fell off the rock.
And to this day, when you give your tours, this is called
Ronald Reagan's Rock.
Ronald Reagan's Rock.
Because everybody recognizes the name and says, oh yeah, President Reagan.
There are angles in this park.
Yes, there are a lot of angles. When this park was originally, when this territory was originally formed many, many million years ago, it was a lake bed. And in the bottom of that lake bed, layer after layer after layer of sandstone over the millions of years. And then a volcanic and tectonic action cracked the lake bed and tilted it up. So that what you're seeing all the way through here is these tilted rocks.
And there's a specific angle to these
about
rocks.
17 and a half degrees throughout
Why
the park.
17 degrees?
Nobody knows for sure. It just happens to be the angle that everything broke off at and slid back.
So that's a 17-degree angle, and there's 17-degree angles all through the park.
Throughout the park.
There are red rocks in this park, but look over here. That's not red. Oh, look. That's modern history.
You're coming right out of Edwards Air Force Base.
The old and the new.
Yeah, that's it.
Now let's look over here at this. This isn't red, this is pink.
Okay, that's pink, and that's from a pyroclastic volcanic explosion that happened many million years ago. And the material blew out just like Mount St. Helens.
So it was a huge explosion.
Massive explosion. And all this material flowed in here, and then it settled down and solidified. And it's pink because it was a very foamy material, a very foamy air-filled material. So that's why it's a different color from the black basalt that was a slow flow that came in later.
And the red rock, which is sandstone.
It's sandstone that was at the bottom of the lakes.
See, I'm learning my geology
Isn't it
pretty
amazing?
quickly. Yeah, but I guess most people ask these same questions,
Absolutely
don't they?
the same questions. So they look at all of this and say, why? And that's my job, is to explain to them how this happened and why it is the way it is.
Now, this really just happened. This was not planned, was it, Jim?
No, it was not.
You were reaching down to pick up this piece of basalt to show us what basalt looked and felt like. And this basalt was put here approximately how many years ago?
Oh, many million, 10, maybe as much as 13, 14 million years ago.
Give or take a few million years.
Right.
All right, so we got the basalt. That's 13 million years old. Then Cameron, our cameraman, was walking around and with his cameraman eye spotted what?
That's a piece of pottery. And that pottery could be as much as 100 years old. Probably came through with settlers that came through here back around 1900 or earlier. And the hallmark is still visible on the back of it. And, you know, the right people can look at this and identify it and tell you where it was made and approximately when.
So we got everything here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to see. And there's a huge timeline here at Red Rock Canyon State Park.
Yes, and what's nice is it's all exposed. It's all been uplifted and exposed. So you can see literally anywhere from 7 to 13 million years of geologic history here. And it's just here for everybody to look at.
And this little piece of
modern man shows up.
Pottery kind of came to the surface and exposed itself too.
Right.
So it's all here. Boy, when you start looking, and this is a perfect place to demonstrate it, we're standing behind what look like flat tables here. This is sandstone, but it's white sandstone.
That's correct. It's white because it's got some ash from volcanic ash that came into this area, and it turned it slightly white.
Now, isn't that sandstone too?
That's also sandstone, and that's got iron ore in it, which turns it the rusty color. And you can see the rust coming right down, washing right out of it.
Well, yeah, and also see it looks like it was formed by water, by waves.
Yeah, it was formed in lake beds and in stream beds, so it sort of it shows the path the water took, and then of course it got compressed over the years, and still shows some of the original shapes of the flow of the material.
Where did this color come from? From iron ore, which washed from
up in the Sierras. There's a lot of iron ore up in there, and that material washed down in the lake beds, and it would when it was coming from that direction, you'll get the red colored stones. And you can always tell by looking at these cliffs which particular areas flowed in from the Sierras.
Yeah, can we walk over here? I know we're not supposed to touch, but boy, it's just so beautiful. It just kind of glistens in the sunlight. This is like a piece of art.
Yes, it is. That's why it's so beautiful and why people love it here. It's the beauty and grandeur of Red Rock Canyon State Park.
We're walking down an old wagon road, and before we talk about the road, if you thought it couldn't get any better than what we've seen already, look at this. every turn you make, Jim, it's another home run.
Yes, it is. It just keeps going and going and going.
All right, now let's talk about this road, because there's a road right through here, and you said it went up through that point up there. What was this road all about?
Well, back around the turn of the century and maybe a little bit before, there was people who traveled through here on wagon trains. And there was one of these roads that came up through and over the top there.
Wait a minute, a wagon train could come through this country?
Yes, it could. They took wagon trains through some awesome country around here.
Wow.
And remember, being pulled by horses and oxen, they could go through some pretty terrible terrain.
Boy, they must have, as terrible and as hot as it was, they must have been at least excited when they saw something like this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that just the beauty and grandeur of all of this kept them pretty happy, and they didn't worry too much about the heat.
All right, let's walk down the road, because today this old road is part of the hiking trail. This is where people come to hike back here in the back country. It just goes all the way back through that gap up there. We have arrived on the surface of another planet. At least that's what it looks like to me, Jim. This has got to be one of the favorite stops on your hiking tour.
Yes, it is. The people come back here, and we always explain to them that several famous movies, one of Mars and one of the Moon, was made back here.
What were those movies?
The movie was Destination Mars and Rocket Ship XM.
This looks otherworldly. Look at this over here. All the way around here. And boy, you can see that 17-degree angle right up there when you know what you're looking at. And then this is where we just hiked from. How far from the road are we? It seems like about 10, maybe 20 miles.
No, I don't think so. We're probably about a mile at the most.
Oh, that's it. So this is available for people. Lots of people could come and see just what we've seen today.
And we bring people back here all the time on our tours, and you can come back here on your own too. I mean, there's trail markers, and you can come back here.
This is so interesting. It's such a surprise to see this. It's a whole nother look from everything we've seen so far. And look up here at the side of this hill here, this mountain. This is a feast for the eyes. There's no bad shot. There's no bad angle. Photographers must go crazy here.
They do. And they come back constantly by themselves so they can get the right sun angles. They'll sit back here half a day to get just the right angle so they can get their contrast just right. And they return. And just like Cameron said, I'm going to have to come back here on my own and get some of this stuff.
Yeah, so, because the different angles at the different times of the day show a different look. But let's just look right out here. It doesn't get any prettier than that. Lots of layers, and you can see all the way back to where we started on this mile-long hike, even though it seems like about 10. It was just a mile. We've spotted a camel out here in the desert. Camel sighting right here.
Yeah, that's Camel Rock right there. And you can notice it does have the shape of a camel, including a hump on his back and everything. So
now, who named that Camel Rock? Who saw that the first time?
Probably Rudolph Hagen, because he came through here and named almost all of the unique formations back in 1910, 1915 time when he ran this place.
Now, when people walk by here, they probably, unless you point that out, don't realize it looks like a camel, or do people notice it?
Some people notice it, but most of them you have to point it out before they really see it, and then they go, oh yeah, I see, that is a camel.
Thank you, sir, for this tour. This has been absolutely wonderful, and in conversation with Jim along the trail, I found out that before he became a volunteer docent here at Red Rock Canyon State Park, you were in aerospace for 40 years and helped build the space station.
That's correct. Yes, I did.
Well, you're still in space out here. Look at this.
That's why I like it so much.
Well, congratulations. You're doing a great job when you come out here to visit the park. Maybe you'll get Jim as one of your tour guides. Another one of his talents is playing the harmonica. So as a segue from this segment to the next segment of this adventure, we're just going to leave you out here in space playing the harmonica, okay? Go for it. The adventure continues. Red rock revealed in layers. We have now come inside to the visitor center to cool off. We've met up with another volunteer docent. Jim was a volunteer, the fellow who took us on the hike. Lou, you're a volunteer as well, and you're here to tell us about the fossils that have been found in Red Rock Canyon over the years. Jim was telling us, I think he mentioned elephants and rhinoceros, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Around 10,000 years ago, the actual terrain that we have out here was totally different. The animals that we're finding are more like camel-like giraffes that we have here.
Wait a minute, right, giraffes?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And wait a minute, over here is the...
This is the bone of a gomphotherium where its tusk is showing right in here.
A gomphotherium means elephant, doesn't it?
It's a type of an elephant. And
oh,
here's
there it is over there.
Right there. It's got a short trunk, not normally what we see in the African elephants, but we did have that type of animal out here.
Wow.
And here's one of its bones right in here.
Wow. So all of this was found, was it found on the park itself?
Yes, it's found in the local area. What they do, a lot of times what happens is when Caltrans starts doing highway work out here and they have to go ahead and move some materials, and all of a sudden they find bones out there.
They give you a call late at night and say, get out here. All right, let's look over here because this is a very interesting display. It just goes on and on. We've got cats and dogs. Were these big cats and dogs?
They're about the size, they can range anywhere from the size of a cougar to a small cat, house cat.
Wow, so the place was, these were undomesticated, obviously.
Oh, definitely.
This was how many years ago?
Over 10,000 years ago.
Wow, camel ankles down here, camel footprints, horse teeth up here, saber-tooth. Oh, look at that, from the cougars. Boy, these were big animals, weren't they?
Oh, yes, definitely they were. Carnivorous type animals that we've had here.
Now, we're ending up right here by this nice little painting over here because this, a picture's worth 1,000 words, isn't it, Lou?
Right, exactly. 10,000 years ago, this is where we're standing at right now used to look like.
Green, not red.
Lush grass is growing there, a lot of rain, a lot of water. And that was able to support this type of life. But as they started drying up, the animals started disappearing and dying off because they were not changing with the environment. But other animals came in its place and started taking over. But that's why we have these fossils.
So these fossils were stuck in all of these layers that we're seeing today when we hike around Red Rock Canyon.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, it's an amazing story that is told right here. You're summing up something that happened how many years ago? These animals were here?
We're looking at these animals found here were from about 10,000 years, but we can go almost back to the periods where the Pleistocene was almost about 1 million years ago.
Really?
Yes.
So the fossil history, the animal history of this part of California goes way back.
Way back.
And thank goodness it's been preserved.
Yes, definitely.
And thank goodness Caltrans is still finding this stuff when it's widening highways.
Exactly. That's where most of your finds come from, accidentally.
Okay, we have left the visitors center, and what makes this whole adventure so interesting is that everywhere we have been so far today, all the things we've seen, all the adventures we've had, have taken place in about 10 acres out of 27,000 acres in Red Rock Canyon State Park. You can hike this park, you can go on horseback through the park, and Ron, you can do what we're doing right now and drive through the park. What's that all about?
That's correct. We have over 30 miles of primitive roads that are available for vehicles that are high clearance, two-wheel drive, but some four-wheel drive that are needed in this area. And you can drive on these roads. We just don't ask you that you don't drive off-road, but you can get to many destination points in the backcountry by these primitive road systems that we have maps for at the visitor center.
So people can come to the visitor center, get a map, and kind of start out on their own kind of self-guided tour. And I'm not sure I would know for sure with any great certainty where I was heading, but it really doesn't make any difference, does it? Because almost anywhere you go on these roads, you're going to have a true, honest-to-goodness California back road experience.
That is correct, yes.
And we're bumping along,
yes,
which is part of the adventure. We didn't say it was going to be smooth. We said it was going to be an adventure.
And these are primitive roads, so they kind of go with the territory.
Boy, what a wonderful day we have had, and how many surprises did we discover here. Thank you so much, Ron. We have seen the fossil history, we've heard about the movie history, we've heard about the human history, the mining history, we have hiked, we have driven, we have walked, we have discovered. Boy, there is a lot to see and do here, and I'm a little bit embarrassed that for all these years, but it's happened with a lot of people, we have driven right by this place. Highway 14 is just 100 yards from here. I haven't stopped until today, but I guarantee you I'll be back.
Very good.
You'll be here.
We want everybody to come back, and we'll be here. Yes, we will.
We're just glad you made it out of the canyon back there with your harmonica okay.
Yeah, good.
He played the harmonica for us.
Great.
Pull that harmonica out and play a little bit more for us as we say goodbye. We have had a wonderful day here at the park, Red Rock Canyon State Park, which is definitely one of California's golden parks. Oh, we got a duet going here. We started with a surprise, and we ended up with a surprise. It's all part of Red Rock Canyon State Park, one of California's, I'll say it again, one of California's golden parks. Red Rock Canyon State Park is well worth a visit. And if you'd like to go on this particular adventure again or share it with family and friends, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.